It was interesting because it was my, I don't care. It was my birthday this week.
Yeah,
and
man, we didn't even happy birthday on the channel on live 41.
It was my birthday this week, and like it
didn't feel like it.
Yeah, but no, but I don't.
It didn't. You didn't get enough.
No,
nah.
I don't.
You weren't spoiled enough.
I don't care about that. It's just, there are times when you're like, oh, it's my birthday, and like you're kind of chipper, right? And this week was so brutal that like I didn't really get the chipper part of this week.
Yo, we didn't even discuss the big thing that you had to deal with this week, and that was the city of Dallas.
Oh.
That, I'm like, why was his week so brutal? I was like, yeah, I know we moved into the office, but he mostly just sat there with TJ and didn't move anything. I was like, why was he so brutal? And then I realized you sat on a Zoom call for 5 hours until 10:30 the other night with the City of Dallas Historic District, listening to.
Let's just clarify.
Yeah. You take over.
It's the City of Dallas Historic Task Force.
So gay.
Let me add one more word in there. Volunteer.
Oh.
Task Force. We have this house. The oops, we did it again. Reference that video. Oops, we did it again.
The historic house in Dallas.
Yeah.
It did in Fort Worth, and we just got done about it.
It was not disclosed to us that it was in a historic district.
Still closed on it.
Closed on it. Was doing justice, doing it the right way. Anyway, get called in for a hearing, which I think is a joke, but that's besides the point because the hearing was on not even Zoom. They did like on Microsoft's version of the meetings, right? Or something like that. It's so weird. Just Zoom. Because people like it was the worst connection ever. So there was no order. It was just pure chaos. One person that's on the task force was like in the middle of coaching his kid's soccer game. Like, so he's on his phone while whistles are being blown on the soccer field. One lady, her kids were fighting her trying to go to bed. Like, this is all happening on a professional government thing, right?
That shut us down.
I couldn't believe what I was witnessing. So regardless, in my mind, you're told to appear at a hearing at a certain time. I appeared. People start popping up on the screen. I'm just sitting there right behind my laptop, and no one's introducing themselves. There's no order. I actually had to guess who the actual task force people were. And then like they just started talking about certain addresses. And then this one lady that seemed to be running
So there was no call to order. There was no leader. There was no.
I don't know any of their names.
Yeah, there was no judge. There was no authority.
No, and like it was such a Karen fest. Sorry, Karens, but no. I have since relabeled Karens. It was such a Tracy fest that it blew my mind. I sat on mute for over 5 hours, listening to them go through 12 cases. We were number 13. I felt that when you get called to a hearing, you
should have a time window.
Like there's a time limit or time window, or everyone gets equal time, right? Like like to present your case and right. I thought that's how the system works. If we're going to be systematic, and I waited till my time, 10 p.m. It rolls around, and I get to speak. And so I introduce myself. It's one of those things where you send them all your documents and then they present them on the screen. And so like, I didn't share my screen or anything. Like I just had to tell her, no, scroll. No, that one.
Jesus.
Right. Yeah.
Just a cluster.
It was so bad. So I'm explaining what we did, all these things, how I adhere to, already adhered to historical standards, whether, and it gets, I'm like about to wrap up and say like, hey, just, I use the right windows. I use the right materials. It's all wood. None of it's, the new technology, like historic districts, which we know, we already talked about that.
You built it to code.
Yeah, I've already done it to code. They denied my house, saying it still wasn't up to their standards. But the thing that got me was one of the main task force people went 3 times. He presented 3 of his cases.
He had his own cases on his own task force?
Yeah. Now, I will admit that he presented his cases, then went on mute so that the rest of the task force could
self-govern.
Yeah, self-govern his stuff, even though, right? So, but that man took up like 2 hours. I had like 10 minutes, and I'm just explaining like who we are, our professionalism, our ethics. Was showing the photos of the woodwork. I mean, you've seen the house, right? The architectural detail that we maintained, we kept, we restored, and that guy.
He's the one that said no?
That guy, well, they all said no, but that guy I'm saying, like, I'm just discussing a few things like, hey, yeah, I'm not arguing with you on this stuff. This is why they said the windows were a few inches too short. Meanwhile, they have no proof or anything like that. I explained why we engineered things a certain way because, in 1920, things weren't engineered, right? Like properly. So when you're renovating something today, you technically have to adhere to today's standards while maintaining the architectural integrity of 1925.
The outside, yeah.
They were arguing with me that I did not do this and that I didn't have to do this. And I'm thinking to myself, these are the people that are deciding very expensive decisions on very expensive homes that people are going to live in, and they are making decisions that like put the house and the people that live in them in jeopardy.
Do they have any real estate background? Any of them? You have no idea.
I have no idea. I don't know.
Insane.
It was
They can be clowns.
bonkers, but where I basically said you to them was they denied my case. The only thing that they did, they broke out our motion for, or our application for approval into like 3 or 4 categories. The only thing that they approved was the roof, the shingles that we used, because they were the right shingles. I mean, of course. But then they denied the rest of our application. And but right before that, I was going into detail about this specific siding that was used, and how it wasn't period specific, and it was brittle and unsafe and like just not salvageable by any means. And then I went into, you know, the reason that I kept the shape of it, but I did it with lumber. We used real wood. We used
Cedar, right?
no, we actually couldn't find enough cedar. We used oak and then stained it, and it looks incredible, right? And I'm like talking about this, and one of the gentlemen that had 2 hours to do his presentation just said, Anthony, I just need to cut you off. We've already, you know, like we have enough data here to you know, to make rule on your case. So nothing that you're going to say is going to change our minds. All in favor of denial. And then they just denied. And then they were like, all right, next up is, and I just sat there for a
Just
second.
got bulldozed over.
Yeah, right. I just sat there for a second, and I unmuted myself, and I said, I was still on camera, and I was like, just hate to interrupt, but do I just log off? Like, are you done with me? Am I going to get something in the mail? Like, who the are you?
Yeah.
And what the did I just witness?
Yeah.
And she said, oh yeah, you're done. And I just hit leave.